peace and prosperity of the whole universe. Shanti Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Stavakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stavakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. In the last class, we were discussing how we need the grace of our own minds above everything else. If you want to achieve results in spiritual life, the most important factor is that you should have the grace of your own mind. That means how crucial it is that the mind plays a very important role in our life. So success or victory depends on the grace of our mind. That's why Lord Krishna said, Uddhared Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhuhu Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha. There, Lord Krishna is meant by Atma, is meaning your mind. So, we should take all steps to see how the mind is kept in a proper way. That is the struggle. That is the struggle. So, let us concentrate upon this idea of achieving the grace of mind. We may have practiced ethical disciplines. We may have received instructions from a competent teacher. And we may have also manifested energy. Yet, to our dismay, we may notice that we are not advancing at all spiritually. What impedes our spiritual advancement in spite of all these faculties in us? It is that we have not yet received the grace of our own mind. It is not until we take to spiritual practices seriously that we begin to feel how badly we require the grace of our own mind by the side of all the other graces we may have received. So I am pinpointing the grace of the mind is very, very important in our life. Most of the inner problems of our life are created by our own minds, and what we suffer from have been manufactured by ourselves. Me only to blame. Swami Vivekananda has composed a poem. Anything that happens to you, you alone are responsible for that. Don't point finger to anybody else. If you are very particular about pointing the finger, point that finger to your own mind. That's the point. But in order to be able to practice spiritual disciplines, it follows we must have good minds. Where do we get them? The good mind is not a special type of mind available somewhere outside of man. Our own mind, when deliberately molded for the purpose of serving as the instrument for spiritual practices, becomes the good mind. A mind is bad or good for practical spiritual purposes insofar as it does or does not present to us distracting thoughts, often in the form of various temptations. That is the crux of the mental difficulties a spiritual aspirant suffers from. Again, I am quoting Lord Krishna in the Gita. Asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Lord Krishna has given a basic solution to the mental problems from which an aspirant may suffer. Practice and dispassion are the only means of controlling the wayward mind. Practice here means earnest and repeated attempts to make the mind steady in its unmodified state of pure intelligence by means of constant meditation upon the chosen ideal. Shankaracharya has commented on this verse. He says, practice consists in constantly repeating the same idea or thought regarding some one object of meditation. You must think of it throughout. That means you must constantly repeat the mantra of the chosen ideal. That's the meaning of practice. Dispassion means freedom from desire for any pleasures, seen or unseen, attained through a constant perception of evil in them. You have to discard pleasures because pleasures are indirect poison. They won't allow your mind to hold on to the spiritual idea. They just grab you and throw away. That's the effect of pleasures. They just won't allow you to think spiritual idea. It drags you more and more, like a person is drawn by the whirlpool. Pleasures are like that. You are just glamored, you are attracted, and you are being drowned in pleasures. So, you have to think of the after effect of the pleasures. What do I get? The more the pleasures I seek after, the more suffering I am inviting on myself. The more pleasures I am seeking, the more mind becomes restless in order to have pleasures again and again. In that process, you become exhausted, you become restless, you lose all control about yourself, and it leads to all sorts of things. So, what Shankaracharya says is that, see that evil in all the things that distract your mind. Once you are satisfied, convinced about the evil effect of these things, then you will be able to practice dispassion. That's how Shankaracharya has commented on this verse. How this has to be applied in life? Application. We find in the teachings of Swami Brahmanandaji, one of the great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Please read Eternal Companion. Every page of it is so meaningful and full of spiritual ideas. Brahmanandaji has dealt with this subject very thoroughly. Eternal Companion. Keep on reading that book as many times as possible. You should read that book like a text. Every day you should read. Like every day you are taking food, it has got the same effect. Spiritual food. You get nourishing spiritual food in that book, Eternal Companion, or Spiritual Teachings of Swami Brahmanandaji. One disciple asked him, Master, how may I check a distracting thought that persistently arises in the mind? Swami Brahmanandaji's reply is very significant. Swamiji says, think to yourself, this thought is immensely harmful to me. It will be my ruin. So I should not entertain such thoughts in the mind. Impress the idea again and again upon your mind. The mind is extremely susceptible to suggestions and will learn whatever you teach it. Therefore, if through discrimination you can impress upon it the joy and fullness of spiritual life and the folly of worldly attachments, it will devote itself more to God and you will find yourself freed from distracting thoughts. In another context, Swami Brahmanji says, the more you occupy the mind with holy thoughts, the greater will be your spiritual unfoldment. Just as a cow yields much milk when it is well fed, so when the mind is fed spiritual food, it will yield greater tranquility. Spiritual food consists of meditation, prayer, contemplation, and japam, repeating the sacred mantra. These are to be done every day. Every day. These spiritual food must be given to the mind. Whatever may be our inner situation, it may be obnoxious, it may be very troublesome, but then we have to view it as a doctor does his patient and treat it through detachment and practice. If we get emotionally upset over the bad states of our mind, we can't handle the mind. One has to be hard-headed in handling one's own mind. Knowing fully well that the mind is not the ruler, but then who? It is the Atman which is the sovereign of body and mind. That idea is very important. A person who thinks that he will cross a river after all waters have flowed to the ocean is certainly not a sane man. Neither is he a sane man who thinks he will begin to practice spiritual disciplines only after the mind has become steady and tranquil. We must understand that there is a mutuality between studying the mind and spiritual practice. The former leads to the latter leads to the former. Therefore, Swami Brahmanji taught, unless you meditate, the mind cannot be controlled, and unless the mind is controlled, you cannot meditate. But if you think, first let me control the mind and then I shall meditate, you will never enter the path of spiritual life. You must do both at the same time. What is that? Study your mind and meditate. These are the valuable teachings of Swami Brahmananda ji. We can get many of these ideas in the book Eternal Companion or Spiritual Teachings of Swami Brahmanji. That's a very helpful precept for winning the grace of one's own mind and making spiritual progress. If we are in inner struggle, let us not pity ourselves, but take our case to the Lord, the Supreme God of the universe, and get Him involved in our battle in all possible ways. So, as long as you are in the relative plane, as long as you are conscious of your individuality, God is there as a separate being. You can't deny it. As you can't deny the world, as you can't deny the individuals sitting here. You have to accept both multiplicity, unity in diversity. That is the principle. So, as long as you are in the relative plane, God is there. You have to see Him, and then you have to realize the truth. So there is a tendency, many people talk about God is not there in heavens. Probably they are afraid to acknowledge God is there. Anyway, if God were not there as a separate being, how could Sri Ramakrishna realize Mother Kali? How could he talk to her? If God is not present in a particular form, how could Ramanujacharya, a great teacher, how could he communicate? He would talk to Lord Vishnu. There is a famous temple in Kanjivaram. I have gone to the temple. The name of the temple is called Varadaraja Swami Temple. Varadaraja. It's a Vishnu temple. Ramanujacharya, he used to carry pitchers of water on the head. He would carry from the tank, a special tank. That water alone is used for the Abhisheka of God. And he used to carry the water every day. In fact, how did he take sannyas? Who was his guru? Lord himself was his guru. He took the Gerva cloth and he stood before Lord Varadaraj Swami, put the cloth at his feet. He meditated there, then he wore it. It's called Vidvat Sannyasa. he could see and he could talk with God. And Sri Ramakrishna also tells, you can talk to God as you are talking to me. How can you do that if God is not there as a separate being? Tell me. Now I am telling from the dualistic point of view. As long as you are in the relative plane, that's what Sri Ramakrishna said when Vivekananda asked, when he was just wondering, who is this Sri Ramakrishna? If Sri Ramakrishna declares at this time, he was very weak, he could not speak, Sri Ramakrishna. Next day he passed away, he left his body. And Swami Vivekananda was sitting at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. Just the thought came to his mind, who is this Sri Ramakrishna? Sri Ramakrishna could not even get up, he was so weak. But do you know what happened? As soon as the thought came on the screen, on the mind screen of Vivekananda, immediately Sri Ramakrishna woke up. He sat and said very clearly, look, still you doubt? One who was Sri Ramachandra in Treta Yuga, one who was Sri Krishna in Dwapar Yuga, he is now Sri Ramakrishna in this modern age, but not in your Vedantic sense. See how clearly he has said. Not in your Vedantic sense. Why? In Vedanta, there is no duality. All is one. All is one. To give an example, there is a fire, Agni. But through the help of that fire, you can have 100 million candles lighted up. You have got 100 million candles with beautiful light. But the essence is same. It is taken from the same source, Agni. If you go to the essence, it is same. There is no multiplicity. But if you look into multiplicity, they do exist. In the same way, we have to think there should not be any conflict. And as long as you are maintaining your own individuality, as long as you are maintaining your own mind, which is pulling you now and then, you have to deal with that mind. Just as you approach many people for various types of assistance and help, in the same way we should seek assistance and help from the divine God himself. So I am telling you, from the manifested point of view, all gods are real. If God was not real, you could not have seen that form. If Mother Kali was not real, Sri Ramakrishna could not have seen that form. So it proves God is real. Finished. God can assume number of forms. That's why when Swami Vivekananda, before the commencement of the speech at the Parliament of Religions, he paid homage to all the gods and goddesses of the past, present and future gods also. Now only we came to Sri Ramakrishna. Before that we didn't know. Before Sri Krishna we did not know about the incarnation of Krishna. But Krishna came. So, as long as the creation lasts, all this manifested power in different ways, they all exist. They do exist. And Sri Ramakrishna himself describes his vision. When he was in meditation, his mind rose up, went to different planes. He could see all the worlds, 14 worlds. Not simply this planet. He went to all planets. And Sri Ramakrishna himself describes, I saw infinite forms of gods and goddesses, varieties, different forms. Among them, Sri Ramakrishna himself tells, the form of Rajarajeshwari was most beautiful form. It is Sri Ramakrishna's words. So I am just trying to impress upon you, whatever God you have chosen as your ideal, hold on to it. You will achieve peace, you will achieve freedom, you will achieve immense joy. So, if we are in inner struggle, let us not pity ourselves, but take our case to the Lord and get Him involved in our battle in all possible ways. God alone can help us. If we have the humility to ask in fighting not only evil forces from outside in the form of temptations, but also evil forces generated by our own lower nature. Eventually, we shall come to learn that as we are, so is the world. In other words, temptations are seen to be there outside because we are not yet pure inside. Now, what will sustain us in this struggle and practice, which will have to be carried on until the vision of God is attained, maybe in this life, maybe in a future one? Only two things will sustain us through all our struggles, however bitter and seemingly interminable. One is love for God. Second, longing for liberation. So, when we are smitten by the world through our own mind, in every case, we have to turn to God in love and tell Him in tears our story, though He knows everything before our telling. If we think that all the beatings are coming from God only, even then it is only to Him we have to turn. A great saint, his name Yamunacharya, wonderful saint. He has written 100 verses. It is called Stotra Ratna, gem among the hymns. Stotra Ratna, written by Yamunacharya, a very great saint. He has said, Nirasakasyapi na tavadutsahe maheshahatum tavapada pankajam vrushanirastopi shisustanandayo najatumatus charanau jihasati. The meaning is, O great Lord, though you may reject me, I have no inclination to relinquish your lotus feet. Even though pushed away by its angry mother, a suckling babe does not wish to leave its mother's feet. How beautifully Yamunacharya has stated in this verse. When the child is beaten by the mother, it rolls on the ground near the mother's feet and weeps, saying, Mother, Mother. Then the mother takes the child in her arms. In spiritual struggle, particularly at the initial stage, we can't always understand what leads to defeat or victory. Only through resignation to God in love, and for love alone can we derive directly from God all the solace, inspiration and strength we require for carrying on our struggles. Betake yourself to no other refuge but God in any situation of spiritual strivings. Tear away all other refuges and protections and open yourself to the blasts of God. Let them come in all their fury and throw you face down on the ground. Bleed, but do not stop saying, Mother, Mother. Keep on uttering Divine Mother. No other refuge is worth having, for every other refuge is in Maya, and so has to be rejected. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of them all. So, in order to sustain yourself, you have to love God and must have intense desire to have the vision of God. In other words, you must desire intensely freedom, liberation, mukti, atyantika mukti. That means liberated forever, not temporary liberation. Temporary means for some time you are liberated, again you are born. No, not that kind of liberation. Atyantika mukti means absolute freedom. And that is not a dry state. It's a state of immense peacefulness. It's a blissful state. It depends upon your aspiration. Once you reach that highest state, you will be overflowing in love and compassion, and you would love to be born in this world, not to satisfy your desires, only with the idea of serving the humanity, serving the people in distress, showing them the glory of God, diverting the mind of the people towards God. You love to sacrifice your life for that great mission. That's how we find Vivekananda came here. He was not brought down to this world on account of his karmic theory. This karmic theory is all for people like us. It's not for Ishwar Kotis and Siddha Purushas like Swami Vivekananda. They are ever free. They suffer out of their infinite compassion for the humanity. They suffer for the sake of humanity, in order to remove difficulties, afflictions from the people, in order to inculcate love in them towards God. That's the significance of Sri Ramakrishna's incarnation. If you read Sri Ramakrishna, his life and teachings, and the teachings of the disciples, what tremendous spiritual food is there. You can develop very nicely. Only condition is you must really desire to go spiritually. Then only it's possible. Otherwise, the world will drag you. Let us cultivate the love of God. Page 568. What is knowledge and what is ignorance? A man is ignorant so long as he feels that God is far away. He has knowledge when he knows that God is here and everywhere. When a man has true knowledge, he feels that everything is filled with consciousness. At Kamarpakor, I used to talk to Shivaram, a nephew of the master, who was then a lad 4 or 5 years old. When the clouds rumbled and lightning flashed, Shibu would say to me, "There, uncle, they are striking matches again." All laughed. One day, I noticed him chasing grasshoppers by himself. The leaves rustled in the nearby trees. "Hush, hush," he said to the leaves. "I want to catch the grasshoppers." He was a child and saw everything throbbing with consciousness. One cannot realize God without the faith that knows no guile, the simple faith of a child. Oh, what a state of mind I passed through. One day, something bit me while I was sitting in the grass. I was afraid it might have been a snake, and I did not know what to do. I had heard that if a snake bites you again, immediately after its first bite, it takes back its own venom. At once I set out to discover the hole so that I might let the snake bite me again. While I was searching, a man said to me, "What are you doing?" After listening to my story, he said, "But the snake must bite in the very same place it has bitten before." Thereupon I went away. Perhaps I had been bitten by a scorpion or some other insect. I had heard from Ramlal That the autumn chill was good for one's health, Ramlal had quoted a verse to support it. One day, as I was returning from Calcutta in a carriage, I stuck my head out of the window so that I might get all the chill. Then I fell ill. Allah. Sri Ramakrishna entered his room and sat down. His legs were a little swollen. He asked the devotees to feel his legs and see whether or not the pressure of their fingers made dimples. Dimples did appear with the pressure, but the devotees said that it was nothing. Master said to Bhavanath, please ask Mahendra of Sinthi to see me. I shall feel better if he reassures me. Bhavanath with a smile, you have got a great faith in medicine, but we have not so much. Master said, it is God who as a doctor prescribes the medicine. It is He who in one form has become the physician. Dr. Ganga Prasad asked me not to drink water at night. I regarded his statement as the words of the Vedas. I looked upon him as a physician of heaven. Hazra entered the room and sat down. The master talked a while about different things and then said to Hazra, you see, many people were at Ram's house yesterday. Vijay, Kedar and others were there. But why did I feel so deeply stirred at the sight of Narendra? That is Vivekananda. I found that Kedar belonged to the realm of divine inebriation. Presently Narendra arrived and Sri Ramakrishna was exceedingly happy. Narendra saluted the master and began to talk with Bhavanath and others in the room. M was seated nearby. A long mat was spread on the floor. While talking, Narendra lay on it flat on his stomach. The master looked at him and suddenly went into samadhi. He sat on Narendra's back in an ecstatic mood. We shall stop here. So, grace of the mind is important. You may have all the graces. If you don't have the grace of your mind, it's difficult to go further in the spiritual path. So take care of the mind, it's very important. Handle it carefully, diligently. That itself is a practice. Handling the mind itself is a practice. You have to handle it carefully. So, carefulness at every point is important. How you have to be careful, diligent, then everything will go. Life is an opportunity so that you can evolve in your own way. God has given this individual form so that each one can struggle and get into that ecstatic joy. That's the idea. If you want to make the mind pure, it means, positively speaking, you must occupy your mind with spiritual activities such as meditation, prayer and selfless service, contemplation, repetition of the mantra. All these things come under spiritual practice, worship, doing regularly. It has got its tremendous effect on the mind. You can see it yourself. Suppose tomorrow you start with the idea, today I have to worship God, let me prepare myself and go in proper mood to worship God. And you go to the chapel and offer your worship, completely surrendering yourself at that point of time. And since you are offering worship, it is a direct service to God. Worship means you are seeing God in front of you and you are directly offering service to Him. So you are establishing relationship with God and you are offering your worship. After the worship you feel a kind of peacefulness that you will understand. One day you are not able to do worship, then you will know. You feel as if the day is dry and you feel as if something is wanting. So positively you must occupy your mind in various types of spiritual activities. Reading of the Gita, reading of Sahasranam, 1,000 names of God, Goddess. Whatever way it appeals to your mind, follow that. That's one way of keeping the mind on those ideas. Suppose you are able to engage your mind in such activities for about 1 hour. That means that 1 hour you are able to have control of the mind and you are able to maintain the purity of the mind. So if you do it regularly, then slowly the duration also increases. But the point is, in modern times, you are so much engaged in the worldly duties and activities, you are not able to devote sufficient time towards the spiritual practice. So at the same time you want purity of the mind. How can you get it? Because each one has to struggle himself. I may say, look, here is the food, please take, but you have to take it. So unless you nourish yourself spiritually, how can you have unfoldment of spirituality in your life? So you must have some balance. That's what Sri Ramakrishna says. Keep a balance. Don't get lost in the name of worldly duties. It is true, you have to earn money, you have to have certain facilities. It's all true. But that's not everything. So, even 25% of our time, why 25? Even 10% of the time we are not able to devote to spiritual practices. Then how can you expect purity of mind and vision of God? How can you expect that? So, you have to reconcile yourself. That's why Sri Ramakrishna tells in the Gospel it has come many times, he has told, pray to God to lessen your duties in the world so that your mind may come more and more towards God. That's important. So then everything will be taken care of. So the more the mind runs towards God, that shows you are getting the grace of the mind. If the mind is running away from the spiritual practices, that means you have no control about the mind whatsoever. That's the point. So, getting the grace of mind should be our main objective in spiritual life. In order to know the truth, you need manifestation of that consciousness. So manifest and unmanifest. The unmanifest state, Nirakar, Nirgun, Brahman, the substratum of everything. It is everywhere. But in order to grasp it in the mind, we need the manifestation of that power, that supreme Brahman. So that manifests itself as In so many ways it manifests as the universe. I am the universe, Bhagavan says. I am Vishwatma. I am Paramatma, Vishwatma. So, it is translated into manifested power. The unmanifested power translates into manifested power. So, like that, as I said, the Agni fire, but how do you grasp that power? Unless you know, unless you see the manifestation of that fire, power, and you burn your hand, then only you know, yes, it is fire. Fire is like this. But fire by itself, it has no form. It is tattva, agni tattva, jala tattva, vayu tattva. So, they all exist in the form of tattvas, but they come into manifested being. Once the creation sprouts, same energy is showing itself in different ways. That's the meaning of Sahasra Shirusha Purushaha Sahasrakshas Sahasrapat. That's the meaning of the Purusha Sukta, Virat Purusha. It is described. So, in one way, God is the sum total of all the beings, animate and inanimate. But in order to understand that highest truth, you need a particularization of that highest truth. In order to have that particularization, you hold on to a particular form of God or Goddess. In some religion, they may not accept God in human form. Very good. If they are able to practice spirituality without accepting God in form, let God bless them in their way. We have nothing to say against that. But if you come to Sri Ramakrishna, your knowledge is widened. What is that? You accept that also, this also. Both are true. Formless and form, both are true. And Sri Ramakrishna tells, that's why Sri Ramakrishna's philosophy is compared to Vijnana. Sri Ramakrishna says, what is the reality? The reality is that which is beyond form and formlessness. The reality is that which is beyond form and beyond formlessness. That's the reality. So anyway, we don't have to have unnecessary conflicts in the mind. So what you want to achieve, in what manner you want to worship God, hold on to that path. That's what Lord Krishna says. Whatever form you worship me alone. Yo yo yam yam, that verse is there. Whatever form you worship, even not knowing you worship, finally you come to me alone. There Lord Krishna is telling, I am, all those forms are me only. That's why you see in Sri Ramakrishna's life, when he saw Lord Christ, when he had the vision of Lord Christ, he was in ecstasy. Then he found the form of Christ coming and merging into his heart. Then there is a story when Gopalarma, a devotee, Agormani Devi, who was worshipping Lord Krishna, she became so pure. Lord Krishna came to her like a child and lived with her. And she would carry the child and she would feel very heavy because baby Krishna was so heavy to carry. And when she came to see Sri Ramakrishna, she literally carried the child. And then she came, Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in meditation posture in the Dakshineshwar temple. Sri Ramakrishna knew that she was coming. He entered into the mood of Krishna consciousness. He became Krishna himself, Sri Ramakrishna. And when she came, she kept the child on the ground. The child crawling and just entered into the heart of Sri Ramakrishna and disappeared. Then she came to know, oh, Sri Ramakrishna is none other than Lord Krishna himself. There's another instance where a devotee of Rama, Ramlal, and when he came to see Sri Ramakrishna, that Ramlal would like to be with Sri Ramakrishna all the time. It would not go to the devotee anymore. And finally the devotee said, Sri Ramakrishna, you are remarkably great. My Ramla doesn't want to come to me. It wants to stay with you. Please let him be with you. Like that he says. So like that you see, and Sri Ramakrishna thereby is telling, that's why in our worship every day, the mantra is Om Aim Sarvadeva Devi Swarupaya Sri Ramakrishnaya Namaha. Om is Parabrahman, you are that Parabrahman. Aim means you are that supreme teacher, Guru. You are the embodiment of all gods and goddesses. I bow down to you. I surrender to you. I take refuge in you. That's the meaning of Namaha. Namaha means all these meanings. That's the meaning of the mantra. Every day I use the worship. That is the worship mantra. It is true. And Sri Ramakrishna is coming, and he came with the special message of this incarnation is to remove all conflicts in the name of religion. So he integrated like a ocean. All the rivers finally merge in the ocean. The river cannot say, I will stay separately like a river. No. Your nature is, you will flow towards the ocean. Knowingly or unknowingly, you go and merge in the ocean. Same way. So when you come to Sri Ramakrishna, your vision is broadened. You become really Catholic in every respect. You appreciate everybody's feeling, you appreciate every faith, you appreciate every path. At the same time, you follow your own path. It's not sailing in two boats. I will follow Nirakara, I will follow Akara. Then you will follow nothing in that way. Follow one. Take one method, take one path to reach the goal. There are so many ways to reach the place. Take particular path, go ahead. Don't waste your time unnecessarily. Where that man goes, where this man goes. Why are you bothered about that? You go. Why do you waste your time unnecessarily? So concentrate upon your spiritual practice, not entering into all vain discussions. Hold on to your spiritual ideas, hold on to your Guru, hold on to spiritual practice. Be sincere and good in your pursuit. You are sure to reach the goal. Once you reach the goal, then God Himself will reveal to you all the truth you want to know. Sri Ramakrishna himself tells that. First you go, first you see, then you will understand everything. But before that we keep on talking, gaining nothing. We have got a special discourse by Swami Atmastananda on Saturday 11th of July. Please don't forget the date, it's very important. Please bring all your friends, it's a special discourse and you will enjoy it also. He is a very good speaker, the Vice President of the Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission. He has come from India. He will speak on the prescriptions for the modern life, for the problems of modern life. It's a very important subject, very interesting. We don't have our regular Sunday service next day because we are all going to Lamont, Hindu temple, Sri Rama temple. There we are having a special program of installation of Swami Vivekananda statue and the dedication. We have invited Ambassador of India and all these Swamis, heads of centers in America and Canada. They are all coming. It will be a very significant and holy occasion. So we will be all going there on that day. The program is between 4 and 6 p.m. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years. For my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works be satisfied, for he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.